Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. Alright, it is Tuesday. It's the last day of my short weekend. I'm going back to my long week at work starting tomorrow. And I'm down in Woodway Park. Now, I guess it just shows how long it's been since I've been down here. But the park is actually now called Lakeside Park, which is weird. And I'm actually walking on a trail that's pretty common for me to walk on, and it looks like they've kind of retrofitted it for bicycles, because there's like little ramps and stuff like here along the way, and banks and stuff like that you can ride your bike on. So I don't know, I'm gonna maybe have to bring my bike back here one of these times. But I wanted to talk about something else, and I figured rather than just sitting in the kitchen and talking to the camera, I'd just go out and do a little hiking today and figure out what's going on in my world. So let's begin. So I'm not even sure this is the same trail that I've walked in the past, because I'm looking around here, and first off, I don't remember the trails walking this close to civilization here. It was always went further back into the trails here, or back into the wooded area. But like I said, it looks like they pulled some trees out and redesigned some of the trails to make this a nice little bike trail. So we're gonna wander around here, and hopefully I won't get hit by a bike. But anyway, what I wanted to do is kind of give you an update on what's going on with the kitchen cabinets. On the live stream, everybody's been asking that every time we do that, and my answer is always kind of the same. It's like, well, we're delayed another week. Well, turns out on Friday afternoon at 5 p.m., I got a voicemail from Lowe's telling me that the new delivery date was now going to be March 10th. Now, let me go back in time a little bit and kind of rehash this whole thing as what's going on and how much of a joke this has been. Basically, as you recall, I ordered these cabinets back in September, and I was told at the time that there was going to be about a 3-month lead time because of supply chain issues and labor issues and stuff like that, and they were estimating that I would get the cabinets about December 10th, which was about 3 months later. So I said, okay, we'll just have to live with that. I was also told at the time that I was going to get an update telephone call about once every 3 weeks, just to let me know how things are going. And that was actually what triggered my first concern about this whole thing, because we got to the middle of November, which was more than 2 months after I'd placed the order, and I hadn't gotten a single call. So I went over there and talked to the person who had been taking my order and been kind of handling this thing for me, and she called in to figure out what was going on, and she discovered that the order had been placed on hold, and that basically the cabinet company had done nothing with any of it in the time since I had placed the order. And I guess apparently one of the cabinet parts was back ordered. And so instead of calling anyone and telling them that, and instead of having Lowe's follow up and figure out what was going on, they just did nothing. And so nobody discovered this until I discovered it. And I got very, let's say, upset with them about this whole thing. And they apologized profusely and said that they were going to place a rush on the order, and that it wouldn't affect my turnaround time or my delivery date. And so, we went on with that. And at that point, I knew that there was problems going on here. And so I started paying a little bit more attention to it, taking more of an active role in it, following up with them on a periodic basis to find out what was going on. Well, it turns out that about 2 weeks before the cabinets were due to be delivered, I got a telephone call from the corporate office telling me that the new delivery date had been pushed from December 10th to March 10th. So they were going to push it out 3 whole months. And I got really, really angry with them. Basically, I hung up on them and immediately called my representative and said, you know, if that's what it is, if it's March 10th, then I'm just going to cancel my order. And she called in and looked it up, and it turns out that somebody just read the screen wrong, apparently, and that the cabinets allegedly had been shipped. Well, it turns out that March 10th was probably accurate because, you know, I think that's what they had, that one part that was back ordered, and I think that was what it was. But Lowe's started lying to me about it at that point, and that kind of was the beginning of the end also there. At that point, I started calling Lowe's on like a weekly basis to find out what was going on. And the concern I had at that point was, you know, are we still going to be able to make this deadline? And they assured me, yeah, we'll still make the December 10th deadline, and that will be no problem. And they were going to rush the order and get it all through. And every time I'd get in there and go talk to them, they say, yeah, we're still on track to make the deadline. And then December 10th came and the cabinets didn't arrive. And then December 17th came and the cabinets hadn't arrived. And then we're around Christmas, so nothing's going to happen then, of course. So, you know, I let it go until after Christmas. And some squirrels here. Get a little wildlife out here. Hello. I think Jaw would love to chase you. And his other little friend is up there in the tree. But anyway, I started following up again with them after Christmas, after the holidays, and started getting the runaround. They'd make a promise, and then that promise wouldn't come to pass. And it finally led to a telephone call I had with the manager over at Lowe's, who is in charge of the kitchen department. And you know, I basically lost it on him. Told him I thought he was incompetent and that I couldn't get him to, you know, keep promises, and he kept telling me I was lying, when in reality, you know, I have recordings that say, you know, things, and I can go back to the recordings and point out, you know, what had been said and what had been promised, and, you know, he'd deny that and all that, and it finally led to the guy hanging up on me. And so that was the last time I talked to him on that. At that point, I moved the whole thing to corporate. Started talking to the corporate office about what was going on, and they told me, you know, they were, you know, very apologetic about all this, and I told them I was very upset with how I was being treated by the local Lowe's staff, and I told them literally that I'm about 3 seconds away from canceling this order. And they said, well, we don't want that to happen, so, you know, we're going to try and do everything we can to make this work. Well, it turned out I started getting the same runaround from the corporate office that I was getting from the local representatives. You know, they'd say, okay, yeah, well, we're following up on it, we're paying attention to what's going on, and they promise us that the cabinets will be delivered in a week. And then a week would pass and they'd say, okay, yeah, the cabinets are going to be delivered in another week. And I think what was going on, honestly, I think that March 10th number was real. But they started lying to me after that because I threatened to cancel the order. And so they kept telling me it was a week away. And I think what their goal was is just to 1 week it at a time until we get to the point where, you know, the actual March 10th comes. Well, like I said, on last Friday when I was at work, they called and left a voicemail saying that the new delivery date, you know, they stopped telling me it was a week away. They told me that the new delivery date was now going to be, that's an interesting little thing in the trail there. I don't even know what that is. That's a weird looking plant. It's all kind of twisted around each other, but wouldn't want to go riding your bike through there, would you? But anyway, they told me at that point that the new delivery date was March 8th. which is basically, 2 days shy of that March 10th. And at that point, I said, you know what, that's it. I'm done with you guys. Part of the thing is I think they knew I was going to be very upset, and that's why they called me at 5 p.m. on a Friday, because they hoped maybe I'd relax and calm down a little bit before I had the ability to reach out to them again. But I did not. And so on Monday, yesterday, I called Lowe's, the corporate office, and just told them I was going to cancel the order because, I don't have any confidence at all that they're going to actually ever get these things to me. And their new March 8th estimate, while that's only a couple weeks away, it's just another date on a calendar, and I have no reason to believe at all that it's ever going to come. So, I canceled the order, and basically, they said, oh, I'm sorry, we have to do that, but I got to transfer you over to the cancellation desk. And in the process of transferring me over to the cancellation desk, I ended up sitting on hold for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they dropped the call. And so that doesn't help matters any. You're already angry enough that you're going to cancel the job, and then they hang up on you, right? So I called back, explained what happened, and the girl apologized once again and transferred me again, and the person apologized again and said, okay, well, I'll transfer you over and I'll make sure you get there this time. And I actually did get there and talked to somebody else, and I guess they basically sent me back to the Lowe's store, the local Lowe's store I've been dealing with, and didn't talk to either of the people I've talked to in the past, but explained that I was going to be canceling my order and explained why and all that stuff. And basically they said, okay, well, you got to actually come into the store and talk to the manager about this, because they can't just do that over the phone. And so I said, all right, so if I come into the store right now, I'll be able to talk to the manager. And they said, yeah, all the managers are here today. So I said, great, I will be in directly. Well, when I got there, I went to where I was told to go and explained the situation. And they says, well, we can't do that right now. I mean, we'll issue the cancellation, but we can't finalize it yet because we got to find out what the restocking fee is going to be to send the cabinets back to the manufacturer. And it's like, well, that's sort of your problem because I'm not paying for that because you didn't deliver it. And they said, yes, I know, but that's just the process we have to follow. So they said they were going to call the cabinet maker and supposedly get back to me by the end of the day yesterday. Well, they never did. So I don't know what's happening, but as far as I'm concerned, the job has been canceled, and I will never ever do business with Lowe's again because that's 3 strikes for them. You may recall in the past I've had problems with Lowe's also when I bought a dishwasher or a washer and dryer and the barbecue from them. They were estimating a 2-week delivery time because they didn't have any trucks to deliver, which is stupid. Later on, I bought a lawnmower from them, and the delivery date came and went, and I never got the lawnmower. I went in to figure out what was going on, and it turns out they'd lost my order. And rather than putting me in the top of the list and getting me something the next day, they decided, well, even though it's our fault, even though we blew it, we're going to put you at the bottom of the list and you'll get your lawnmower in another 2 weeks. So I said, nuts to that, cancel the order. And at that point, I had kind of thought that I was never going to do business at that point with Home Depot or with Lowe's again. And I had really planned on sticking with that, but it turns out that, Home Depot wasn't able to help me with the cabinets, and I needed something, so I kind of bit my lip and said, okay, well, we'll try it again. Well, they blew it again, so that's 3 strikes. As far as I'm concerned, they're done. I'll never do business with Lowe's again. So, yeah, I don't know, had to rant, but hey, at least it's better scenery, right? Look on the bright side, you could have spent all your time staring at me. They have really updated this park a lot. I don't even recognize the trails here. This is a road that's going through here, and I think there are two roads that go through, go into the park here. This is the second one, I think, but this might just be a trail or road that I've never even run into. But here we are coming up on the lake. So we'll go down to the lake and kind of wander around there a little bit before we work our way back to the car. Now, in other news, for those of you who've been following along, you know that recently I decided to buy out my lease on my car, and the main reason for doing that, not just leasing another vehicle, was that I wanted to be able to hook up a trailer to it so that I could haul stuff home from Home Depot. Well, I took the first steps towards getting that done. I went out to the place that was recommended by the Honda dealership that they said they could do this for me, and basically got my order placed. That's going to be, they said that they found a place that's got all the parts, and they should have it tomorrow. So I placed an order to get the hitch to get the mounting hardware installed on the car, and we'll go from there. Now I told them, I'm at work now for the next few days, so there's not going to be really any need for them to rush it here and get it here tomorrow. So if it didn't come until tomorrow, till Thursday or Friday, you know what, that's not that big a deal. But I've got an appointment on Monday to have the thing installed. They're also going to do the wiring, so that should make that pretty easy. So when I get to the point where I'm ready to go, I'll just be able to go get the trailer. I'm looking at one at Home Depot. In fact, I'm probably going to jump on that real quick because they got a sale on them right now. The trailer I'm looking for usually costs about $1,000, but they're selling it right now for $800. So, hey, that's a good deal, right? Time to jump on that. I don't know what happened here, if they had like some washout or something like that, or maybe just some of the rain we've had here makes things a little muddy, but it is really muddy right here. So I'm going to be very careful crossing the bank, especially when I get closer and closer to the water. It gets just worse and worse here. Yeah, it's really bad in the middle. And it's like inches deep there, Yeah, really gross. Okay, well, I made it, but yeah, I sunk like 12 inches into the mud down here. Almost lost my balance in the process. Yeah, definitely going to be washing them shoes, huh? You don't usually see waves like this on the lake, but it's really windy out here, so I guess that's what happens. Look at all the remains of the trees that were out here. Apparently a number of years ago, a long time ago I guess, they raised the lake level by adding that dam that we've walked on a couple of times. I'm guessing these are probably what's left of the victims of all of that. Anyway, let's get going back onto the trail here. I think probably the remainder of this hike is going to be right along the lake here, which is all right. I don't have a problem with that, right? You're already listening to the wind. Why not listen to the water too? Get a little further in here. Maybe we can break up some of the wind a little bit. So it doesn't seem like they've done a whole lot with the trails over here. But where I started over there, they have clearly turned that into a bike trail here. So I'll have to bring my bike down here sometime and try this. This is one of the things I really love about Waco is there's all sorts of great hiking trails back in around here. You can go miles and miles and miles on some of these trails. But anyway, I think that is all that I have for today. Thank you for listening to me rant and going with me on this adventure or misadventure with Lowe's. But that is all that I have. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.